Hello everyone, apologies for being slightly late. Happy Monday, the 12th of May. Hope you are all well. I did try to go live a bit earlier, but it wouldn't let me. Anyway, there we go. So, newsflash, this week is going to be a very big week energetically. Okay? You heard it here. I'm sure you're hearing it everywhere else as well. So, there's a few major things going on this week. One today and then one more towards the end, well, at the end of the week. But you're kind of going to feel it all the way through. And the main event today is the Scorpio full moon. And then on Sunday, what I believe is happening is Uranus is doing something. I think it's a Cassimi. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. And that's when it goes into the heart of the sun. And Jupiter is doing something as well. As you know, I'm not an astrologer, so I don't know everything about that, but it's all having an effect on us. So this will really impact your week. And the main message is that, well, the Scorpio full moon is pretty intense, right? Scorpio is a water sign. Scorpio is often about things that are hidden. It's very deep. It's very psychic, and at the same time, Mercury and Pluto are asking us to be honest with ourselves. Okay, so what we're going to be shown under the course of this full moon this week, and you may have already started to see it, is where you're not telling yourself the truth about something, where you're not being entirely honest with yourself. Okay. So, for example, if you've been moaning about something that isn't working in your life, or a relationship that's not working, or a job, or anything like that, but you haven't done anything about it, you're going to really be shown that this week. You know how the universe likes to really show you things when you're trying to avoid them? Well, it's kind of like that. And it's probably something you've been sort of thinking about changing for a long time now, but you haven't for whatever reason. So there's that going on. It's sort of an area where you've maybe pretended everything's okay. Maybe you've just put up with something, or you think it's better, but you know it's not really deep down. So think about, or tune into, I should say, what's really coming up for you, because this is, as I say, it's a Scorpio is a very psychic sign. It's, really tune into your intuition and your soul. What is your soul nudging you about? Okay, are there areas of your life where you've accepted less, or where you're giving away your power? Some of you will know it's time to leave someone or something, and that can be scary. And that kind of carries on as the moon starts to wane. So the point here is, if you make the changes, it's going to be easier for you, because you never know. The changes may be made for you, but in a way that you don't want or is outside of your control. So sometimes we say to ourselves, right, I'm going to change this, I'm going to change this, and we don't, and then something happens which means we absolutely have to change it, or it's changed in a way we didn't quite want. So it's better to make these changes if you can. All right. And notice, and the way you can notice where you need to make the changes, where are your emotions? Because again, what are your emotions telling you? Because the Scorpio full moon will really stir up emotions. So what are they telling you? Okay, I've been very good over the years of ignoring my emotions sometimes, and because it's easier to get on with life. It's easier just to make sure everybody else is okay. But what I've been doing more recently, and practicing more recently, is really sitting with my emotions and trying not to be scared of them, and looking at what they're trying to tell me, because they're messengers. So it's that kind of work. It's not easy, because it's much easier to ignore everything in some ways. So it's that kind of thing. So where are you feeling? You know, what is the emotion? Where are you feeling it? What's it trying to tell you? Okay, so maybe do some journaling this week to help you. Hi, Rebecca. Yeah, same. It's a work in progress for me. I'm getting better at it, at not people pleasing, but I've been doing it for so long. It's taking some time. Did it? Yeah, it will do. Because the full moon was already in our energy. So what can you maybe do to try and change that, Rebecca? Okay. And then, as I say, there's a something going on with Uranus. It's called Uranus Cassimi, I believe, and it's really going to break anything that's stuck. Now, this is at the end of the week on Sunday. So, as I said, if you don't make the changes consciously, maybe they're going to be made for you, you know, and that's not always as easy to cope with. It's much easier if you can make those changes yourself. I know this is all easier said than done, by the way. And you know, Mercury's squaring with Mars, so these are hard choices. These are not simple choices. These are big choices, and that's why they've been percolating in the background for quite a long time now. And the Scorpio full moon is going, come on, let it go, really do something about it. But there is something nice going on with Jupiter, you'd be glad to know, I understand, which is going to help us break habits, break patterns. So maybe that will help some of you as well. And then I pulled a card from my Empowered Woman Rises deck, and you can't make it up, can you? I got cord cutting. So cord cutting is, this is for all of you watching, cord cutting is when you break the energetic cords with someone or something that's no longer serving you. So maybe when you're making the changes, you can literally visualize cutting cords with that person or situation or that habit, or that way of talking to yourself. You know, can you do that? Can you be brave and cut those cords? Because we all have energetic cords between us and those that we love in different situations as well. And they're okay whilst they're healthy, but they become negative when they are no longer in our best interests, or if there's someone in our life that's taking from us far more than they're giving, then it can become negative and draining. And don't forget, everything that's been happening since the beginning of the year has been all about you really looking after yourself, really making change if it's necessary, so that you put yourself first more, so you stop making yourself small. Your soul is really calling you to step into this now. Yeah, Rebecca. Yeah, you do get slapped if you don't listen. So let me see what else my guides I've got to say, but that is roughly what's going on. I always consult with them before I come on here anyway, and I was checking on the astrology too. So let me see what else comes up here. Right. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here again. Yes, so Olwen said all the things that are happening with the planets, and they will definitely have an impact, especially this Scorpio full moon. It's also a time for forgiveness, all right? Forgiveness of yourself if you feel like you've made mistakes in the past or you've made the wrong decisions. You know, you made them with the information you had at the time. So give yourself some love. Forgive yourself. You know better now. So how can you change you know, what you did for you, so that it is better. Okay. A lot of this is also about, a lot of this change that Alwyn's talking about and the astrologers are talking about is also, you know, mainly to do with you and how you talk to yourself, your limiting beliefs about what you can and cannot do. You know, really all those thoughts you have where you are not nice to yourselves, right? Would you speak that way to a friend, for example, or if you're in business, would you speak that way to a client? No, of course you wouldn't. So really, it's time to start changing the narrative, and really believing in yourself, because you are an amazing soul in this, you know, living this human existence, and you deserve to be happy. And yes, many of you are going around pretending to be happy, and some of you, and that's not to say that some parts of your life aren't happy, but there are also parts, quite major parts for some of you, that aren't, and you know this, and it's not working, and you feel crushed, you feel small, you feel suffocated, you feel like you can't express yourself without laying the foundations for what you want to say. So what we mean by that is perhaps you make sure that person's in a good mood before you say how you feel. Or perhaps you don't say it because you feel it will put them in a bad mood, for example. All right. And it may well be actually that you do say how you feel and they react badly, and that makes you feel that you can't say how you feel again. I hope we're making sense, by the way. But you can, you absolutely can. They're just reacting to you that way because they're not used to you setting your boundaries. They're used to you, you know, doing everything that pleases them, really. And their reaction shows everything you need to know, really, about them. Okay? So this is really coming up strongly for a lot of you. All right? And it can be at work as well. Obviously, we have to be careful. We know you have to be more careful at work, perhaps, but still, you know, don't be taken for a ride and don't be taken for a fool. All right? Or maybe you want to negotiate new terms at work or something like that. It's a good week to do it this week, but really, you know, tune into what will make it work for you. All right? And these are, as Alwyn said, these are not just little changes. These are things that have been bubbling away in the background, possibly for years, where perhaps you've hoped that somebody would change, or you've hoped something would change, or you've hoped someone else would make the change for you. But we are sure you are aware that you are the only ones that can make the change yourself. And we are aware that we keep saying the word change many, many times, but that's the only real word we can find for all of this. And, you know, as Alwyn's already said, with the planets and what's going on sort of towards the end of the week or even through the week, you're really going to get shown, all right? So you're really going to get shown. So if you keep not, so if you don't make the changes, if you keep ignoring them, brush them under the carpet, paper over the cracks, that sort of thing, we feel this week you're just going to keep being shown it, somebody's going to keep acting up, or you're just going to not feel right about something because your soul is trying to get louder. It's trying to really show you what you need to do. All right. And it's possible that if you haven't even even just starting to make the changes will make a difference here, because it's conscious change that we're looking for. But if you haven't done any of that, by the end of the week, especially Sunday, you could find something major is taken away, or the change happens anyway, but maybe not in the way you would want, as Owen was saying earlier. So it's much better if you can take control as much as possible, because then you're saying to the universe, this is what I want, right? And even though the universe does do its best to help you with those changes, and it will, especially if you consciously go about it consciously, sorry. But if you don't, then it might just go, oh, for goodness sake. And you might be shown something else, which is worse, or, something else might happen, which is not how you would have wanted it handled. All right. So, as Alwyn said, and we believe she's put in the post above this video, deep breaths this week. You're not going to be able to hide this week. All right. Your patterns are not going to, you're going to see them rise, your habits, your thought patterns, your relationships, everything's up for, everything's up for review that needs reviewing, and you have to do something about. All right, which is why that card that came up that Olwyn drew this morning for you all is so appropriate. So when you're doing this work, maybe do some journaling, really ask yourself what it is, be honest. This is that you've got to be really honest with yourself and see where you need to cut those cords. And you can simply do that by visualizing the person or the situation, whatever it is, and visualizing those cords between you, the negative cords, and just call in Archangel Michael, and he will come in and help you cut those cords with his sword. All right, that sounds very dramatic, but it isn't really, and it will just help you then shift energetically as well as in your actual life. Yeah, we hope this makes sense. We know it all sounds very dramatic, but it feels quite dramatic. And we hope that whatever you decide to do this week, that you find strength to do it. Of course, for some of you, there's nothing really major that needs doing, but for a lot of you, there is. All right, so take care, and we'll be back next week. Okay, so I hope that helps. And yeah, I feel like, oh my goodness, there's a lot going on, but at the same time, it's positive. So don't forget to do that exercise for cord cutting if it's needed. And I wish you, I say I wish you an amazing week, but it could be an amazing week because actually it's transformational. And if you make the decisions yourself, then you're taking that transformational energy and running with it, which is brilliant. All right, lots of love to you all, and I'll be back next week. Bye for now.